My sick bay was below the Orlican gun, which protected the bridge. We had 3 Orlicans and a 25 crew, and each crew member had 5 jobs. Mine was rat catcher, victualling officer, paymaster, 3rd officer on watch but never ever used it, and I used to be responsible for all sorts of odds and things as well as the medical side of it. So I took this place, well, it was very, very pleasant, I must say. When the sea was nice and we were just cruising, it was beautiful. When there was when the weather was bad, it was awful, because being a flat-bottom boat, it used to lift up at the front and come crashing down on the wave, so you knew all about it. Now, my bunks traversed the ship rather than going from bow to stern. Now, if you bow to stern, you're going up like this, but if you happen to be on a bunk traverse, then you got shot off. And if you're on the top bunk, I was always being shot off. Because my patients, if I had any patients, they were always on the bottom bunk. Fortunately, we had no real trouble, but we did have some nasty cases of malaria, bronchopneumonia, and various injuries, but all minor. But the bronchopneumonia case, of course, he had to go ashore, and he had to wait for days before we came to a place, Chittagong I think it was, where we landed him, and he went off to hospital from there, whilst we went on to join the Arakan landing force. And the Arakan is in Burma, and the landings took place from a little place called Arakan, Ramri Island and Shduga. And all those 3 landing areas, we actually made a landing. Unfortunately, we were lucky, because the Japanese fled before we got there on each occasion. But we did see a Japanese soldier. We got lost in going down south, and he was looking after a jetty, and he was standing guard there with his rifle, and they had huge bayonets. These Japanese were immensely proud of their bayonets, and they used to like to use them on the poor Chinese. Chinese were always a martyr to the Japanese. Terrible, really. Anyhow, this man, he saw us coming, and he ran that way, and we turned round and ran that way, because we weren't supposed to be anywhere near Japanese territory. This landing was supposed to be a surprise. It was to him. Then this is a really quite interesting story. The landing to capture Rangoon took place in southern Burma, and they had to go across the Arakan mountain range to get into Rangoon. And this was supposed to beat the Indian army, who were running down from north to south. And it was very good. They did it all right, but it took much longer than they thought. We, by this time, had turned round and gone back to Calcutta, where I had leave and went up into the Himalayas, which was very pleasant and was well needed, and came back again to find an empty ship. Most of the crew, apart from about the signals officer, signals rating, the first lieutenant, myself, the chef, and a couple of other boys were the only remnants of the 25 crew. The rest had all got their draft tickets while I was up in the Himalayas, and all been posted back home. And I was left with a new crew, which was quite a different thing entirely.